Manufacturers are delegating too much power to their top-tier suppliers, undermining their own ability to innovate, cut costs, and manage risks. In the past 25 years, major original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, around the world have shifted to the Japanese tiered approach to supply chains. They've radically reduced the number of suppliers that they directly manage and offloaded responsibility for supervising the rest, along with the tasks of building major subsystems to a handful of first-tier suppliers. The attractions for OEMs were faster new product introductions, larger volume discounts, reductions in the capital and risks associated with developing and producing the subsystems, and the ability to spend less management time on overseeing the multitude of lower-tier suppliers and more on building core competences. But first, let's look at the risks of giving top-tier suppliers too much responsibility. Less control over costs. Managers of large OEMs assume that they can save money by outsourcing the design and production of major supply subsystems. Less visibility into technology developments. Lower-tier suppliers can provide valuable information about the latest manufacturing advances and technological innovations. In consumer electronics, for example, having direct access to the newest ideas of chip design houses, which often are second or third-tier suppliers, is critical. Less access to market information. Lower-tier suppliers that serve a number of markets sometimes spot shifts in the economy early. OEMs that don't have close relationships with such suppliers can miss opportunities to adjust orders and lock in favorable prices for parts and materials, losing ground to more astute competitors. Less control over sustainability. Environmentally and socially sensitive consumers are increasingly holding manufacturers accountable for the performance of their individual suppliers. See, for instance, Don't Tweak Your Supply Chain, Rethink It End to End from Harvard Business Review in October 2010. For example, the massive contamination of the Pearl River Delta area in China by suppliers to the denim industry had the potential to damage the impact of Western apparel makers, and suicides at a Chinese contract manufacturer used by Dale, Hewlett-Packard and Apple could have tainted those companies' brands. So, what to do? Retain control over items that have the most significant impact on the total costs of goods sold. Typically, 20% of the items on the list of a product's parts and materials, the bill of materials or BOM, account for 80% of the total cost. A standard mobile phone, for example, contains 2 or 3 semiconductors and an LCD screen that represent more than 50% of its total BOM cost. Consider a supplier's innovation potential. In emerging markets in general, and in India, China and Taiwan in particular, the rapid growth in the number of college graduates is spawning a network of creative new suppliers. But OEMs that have outsourced purchasing and cut their own purchasing staff might not be able to spot this up-and-comers. Take into account the environmental and social impact of parts, including the processes used to produce them. We suggest that in addition to using approved vendor lists, OEMs employ an updated form of value analysis when making sourcing decisions, including which items top-tier suppliers will be allowed to purchase on their own. Traditionally, value analysis has focused on maintaining the functionality of a product while reducing the cost. The new sustainable value analysis focuses on maintaining functionality and cost of a product while reducing the negative effects on the environment. Stay close to vendors that can provide early information on shifts in the economy. These also tend to be firms that serve a wide range of industry, such as Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. In January 2019, LGE bypassed top-tier supplier Qualcomm and established a direct tie with TSMC, one of the world's largest chip foundries. In the first quarter, LGE learned that TSMC's orders from a large number of industries were picking up, that its capacity was tightening, and that lead times were increasing. Those three were all indicators that the global economy was going to rebound in 2009, sooner than many anticipated. In response, LGE rushed to negotiations. A move to managing select lower-tier vendors can constitute a major change for OEMs that have been focusing predominantly on top-tier suppliers. It can take 1 to 2 years to accomplish. In addition to reshaping the purchasing function, it involves getting the buy-in of key internal stakeholders such as the product divisions, the chief technology officer, and chief financial officer. For all these reasons, purchasing will need the support of the company's leaders to sell the change. Since they stand to lose power, top-tier suppliers naturally will not be happy with the new arrangement and may resist it. So another challenge is maintaining the peace in persuading them that by enabling the OEM to be more competitive and sell more products, they will profit over the long term.